Welcome to part 2. I'm looking at the galactic alignment, and I've been studying this for a couple of decades now overall. I'm an Astro-Cosmologer, which means I combine astrology and Mayan cosmology, and I do offer readings. I've been doing a radio show for 12 years as of 1999 called Universal Traveler. I mentioned all this on the first part of this series of takes. So if you'd like a reading or to tune into the show, be sure to listen to the very first part of the first part. And so I was at the point of the galactic alignment and the culmination point, and how does this relate to us? What can we do with this information? What is serving here? Now, as I was mentioning at the end of the last part, macro cycles have phenomenal momentum, and the macro field, which is a unified field, all these movements are affecting everything. This macro field vibration. Now, this affects everything. I call it, when I look at astrology in the sense for the collective, which I do every Sunday on the radio show, which I do every day, but I do on the show every Sunday, I'm looking at not only the Mayan cosmology or the galactic creation pulses, which were navigated over a very, very long time, also the astrology, which is, as far as we know, navigated since the beginning of time that we know of, as humans writing things down. It's the oldest science we know of. As above, so below. It's collective macro field, unified field. When we tune in to it through alpha waves, through the vibration of love, well-being, interconnectedness, unity, harmony, then we have a resonance with the natural order. That's what natural order is doing. The unified field knows that what serves the whole serves the parts. So very important to reflect that back to the mirror, and that's what unity consciousness is about. And ultimately, this is what tunes us into the unified field, is being in resonance with it. I call it harmonic resonance with the morphogenic field. Now, this is where intuition goes through the roof. And I can say that from experiential wisdom. The more I have been tuning in and the longer I've tuned in, the more I have access to. I've also noticed that the different states of being that I'm in while I'm doing it affect it. The time that I'm doing it affects it. But more than anything else, the unified field reads our vibration. It reads our intention. It reads the heart. It reads beyond what we're doing or what we're saying. It reads our overall frequency and intention. So again, we get universal allies when we're tuned into the highest good of all, to the highest level possible. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have boundaries. Of course, as we know, the eye in the sky has eyelids as well to protect itself. Now, this is very important to recognize the unity and the diversity, not to separate them. They are one and the same. It is unity in diversity. Very big difference than looking at things as dualistic or in a war or some kind of dog-eat-dog mentality that actually contradicts natural law. That's a very, very detrimental and doomed way to do things. Basically, dictatorships sink eventually because they're out of alignment with natural law. And it's just a matter of time before natural order dissolves it. Again, we reach these culmination points where the singularity hits, and it reboots the system back into order. Kind of like taking, every night we go to sleep and we take a break and the body reboots itself in that energy. So this is a macro level. It's also related to the breath, the in-breath and the out-breath. We're reaching the exact center point between the breaths, which is why there's a lot of, we might say, there's a certain state of unsureness between the breaths. There's a gap. So you can see in that analogy of how some people would panic. They don't know if they're going to breathe again. It's the end of everything. And others who are anticipating the in-breath. It's like, good, I've been exhaling right till I'm blue in the face. Great, let's restart. So ultimately the Mayan calendar is denoting a new level starting, and it's macro level. It is transcendent paradigm shift level energy, and that's very important to comprehend enough that we act in alignment with it. So again, the unified field reads our intention and our vibration. So what is the most important thing that we could be or do or work on? Being a universal ally, being in the highest state of unconditional love possible. And again, any level higher is better than less, because the field responds precisely according to those levels. And that is our outcome. It's the weather. I was going to say, it's I call it the Acer when I measure these cycles on the show, astro-cosmologically based evolutionary weather reports, which basically we're looking at evolutionary or lovevolutionary movements of energy. That's the planets show us, because of the way they're formed and the natural process of them culminating into forms from the body of the sun, the outer body of the sun. They are the outer body chakras of the sun. They have materialized physical bodies on different density levels according to where they are, which is very musical. All the placements are absolutely follow the musical scale. Or we might also say that music showed us to follow it. And again, it's totally straight out of the astrology. Now, so that whole recognition of how the planets are formed and moving in the cycles of the macro field through cymatics, they're vibrated into these forms, moving at these speeds. And so are we. We are in the field as well. Now we're experiencing it from the earth. So that's where astrology comes in and looks at the terrestrial or earth-based relativity to the macro field, whereas the Mayan calendar is beyond the earth. It's the solar system. So we tune into the solar systemic galactic cosmology, and astrology shows us terrestrial, earthy, human, right here now. And between the two, we get a macro field, intention, order, cyclic processes, understanding, and then we have something to apply in our lives, which is why we do an astrology chart for a person, a relationship, a business, a crossroads point in our lives, etc. To tune into what is the macro field vibration, what is my vibration, where am I at right now, and we can navigate the weather this way. So ultimately, the reason to follow these cycles, to tune into these things, is to have the heads up on when shifts happen, shift happens, and to be as aligned with it as possible. Again, minimizing needless suffering ultimately, and also maximizing potentiality by aligning with macro field movements. It's like riding a wave. If you're a surfer, you know what I mean. You want to go with the wave. Then it's about then it's about what you do. But you have the ultimate ability because you got on the wave at the right time in the right season and all the factors. So this is what astrology gives us. Times to start a business, times to start a partnership, times to step back, all points between. All these things are navigated through vibration. And again, so we're looking at galactic and solar systemic cymatics. Cymatics is vibration in training forms or particulates or waveforms, more accurately. The macro field vibration affects everything in the field. And through cymatics, which is, for those who don't know much about that, simply put, it's like if you put some sand or dust or whatever particles that you use will have different results. You put them on a drum skin or some tight skin of some kind, and you run a vibration through that surface, a tight surface, the particles will take the form of the vibration. They will represent the geometrical state, shall I say, of the vibration that's running through the skin. So, and again, this is what astrology shows us. I keep pointing at my magnet board here. This is where all the planets are and the key aspects, and they're all on magnets. I made this myself. And you just move them as they go and keep dialing in. Keeps us tuned in that way. It's like a cosmic barometer. So, yeah, and so many, endless levels to it. What we're doing is we're using astrology to tune into the macro field. It literally is like a key or an access code or a password to the Ethernet. It's an Ethernet password, and we're tuning into the macro field through the resonance of the planets, because the planets are so they're so naturally in line with these vibrations. They don't have the free will that people have to choose anything and go off in any direction. These planets are formed and are holding these movements. They are representing the macro field vibration infallibly. So there might be the odd, strange moment where two planets come close together and pull on each other, which is actually how we did discover some of the outer planets. Much later in the history of man from when they were originally discovered. The Mayans knew about the outer planets eons ago. Anyway, so, summary. Easier said than done. Easier done when said, applied, and acknowledged. The galactic alignment, the end of the Mayan calendar, the reboot of the macro cycle, moving to the next frequency octave of creation, is affirmed by the planetary cycles. There are very core key planetary movements occurring at the end of the calendar, and I will get into that in this next section coming up. So thanks a lot for tuning in and staying with me. Namaste in Lakesh. I am another expression of the Source, as are all